Hello students. So till now we have completed the chapter number 9, living organisms, habitat and characteristics. In this we have completed all the habitats, the terrestrial and the aquatic as well. To check out those videos you can go into the description section, right? And then you can come back here. Now we are going to talk about the characteristics of living organisms. So the first characteristic of living organism we're going to discuss is, do all living organisms need food? Now you see, food actually gives the living organisms energy, right? So we consume different types of food for the nutritional requirements that are actually required to fulfill the energy requirements of our body. Okay, now all the living organisms need food. Plants actually synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis, right? On the other hand, when we are talking about animals either on depend on plants or other animals for their food. Now when we are talking about a deer, right? A deer is a herbivore and it consumes only plants. Okay, so it is going to depend on plants. When we are talking about the carnivore animals, for example lion, it is going to eat another animal, so it depends on other animals for food. All right, so in this way all the plants, they are synthesizing their own food and completing their own energy requirements. On the other hand, animals are depending on either plants or on other animals, right? So all the living organisms require food for the energy, right? Now, do you think non-living organisms need food? Have you ever seen a book trying to eat something or a book feeling hungry? No, right? So non-living organisms do not require any kind of food for their energy requirements, right? So this is entirely a characteristic of living organisms, right? Do all living organisms grow? Now you see, you have increased in mass from your childhood till now, and you're going to even grow further till you reach your adulthood, right? So you are growing. So firstly, we are going to talk about what actually growth is. Growth is increase in mass and number, right? So you increase in mass from your childhood, right, till your adulthood. On the other hand, you increase in number by the process of reproduction. You are creating new individuals of your own kind, right? So in this way you are growing, right? Now when we are talking about non-living organisms, now from this we understand that it is a good characteristic of living organisms. But can you say that non-living organisms do not grow? No. Why? Because if you see, suppose this is a heap of sand, right? And there is a lot of dust around this heap. So eventually this heap is going to increase in mass, right? So this is going to increase in mass. All right. So now increase in mass leads to the growth. So it is growing, but it is non-living, right? Also, suppose this is one heap, and after filling up this heap we are creating another heap of sand. It has increased in number as well. Also you can see that suppose you take a toy, right? You have one toy, then you have two toys. They are non-living, but the number has increased. They have not increased the number on their own, but you have made them increase their number. So it is also a characteristic of non-living organisms. You cannot say that they don't grow in mass or number, right? Human intervention is required, but they do grow in mass and number. So you can also see growth in different ways in non-living organisms as well. Do all living organisms respire? Now, respiration is the process by which all the living organisms take in the oxygen that is required by the animals. On the other hand, in case of plants, plants take up plants take up carbon dioxide during day and give out oxygen. Okay, this is during day. All right, and at night they do the reverse. They take up oxygen and give out carbon dioxide at night. Okay, now this is also the process of all the animals. In animals, this is the normal process that happens day and night. All the animals take up the oxygen and give out the carbon dioxide, right? On the other hand, plants take up carbon dioxide and give out oxygen in the daytime. During night, they take up oxygen and give out carbon dioxides. Okay. Now you see that we have understood from this all the animals and all the plants need to respire, right? Now, if you talk about non-living organisms do not need to respire to fulfill the criteria of living, right? So, this is a characteristic of only living organisms, and non-living organisms do not show this feature. Okay. Do all living organisms respond to stimuli? So first of all, what is a stimuli? Stimulus. Stimuli is actually the plural of stimulus. Now what is stimulus? Stimulus is the reaction that your body gives whenever it feels insecure, right? Take an example. If somebody tries to slap you, your body is going to do some reaction. Your body is going to try to push the person away from you, right, or hold their hand. Okay, so all of these reactions are actually your response to the stimuli. Okay, now if there are also instances of some plants. For example, touch me not plant. Touch me not plant is actually a plant in which the leaves close when the insect is trapped, right? So in this way, they eat the insect as well, and also they are responding to the stimuli that an insect has come onto the leaves, and they are going to ingest that insect, right? So this is the response to the stimulus. Similarly, your body shows responses to the stimulus. Whenever you see something that may hurt you, your body shows an instant response. That is a response to stimuli. On the other hand, you cannot expect such responses to the stimulus from non-living objects. Non-living objects are not going to respond to the stimuli. They are not going to sense the danger. They're not going to sense anything, right? So this is a characteristic of only living organisms. What is excretion? Excretion is actually the removal of the waste products. This is the removal of waste product. Removal of waste from your body, right? So the removal of waste from your body is excretion. Excretion can occur inside animals via sweating, via stool, via sweat, via even urine, right? So all of these are the ways of removing the extra toxins that your body doesn't require, right? And everything that has to be absorbed by the food that has already been done. So excretion is a removal of waste from your body. Now living organisms have this characteristic feature of excreting all the food, all the waste of the body that the body has used already and do not need anymore, right? So this characteristic feature cannot be seen in non-living organisms. So this is a characteristic feature for the living organisms only. 6 point, do all living organisms reproduce their own kind? Now, have you ever seen a rose plant giving birth to a hibiscus, or a human giving birth to a dog? Obviously, that is not possible. So, all the living organisms reproduce to form their own species, new members, new progenies that belong to their own species. So, the parents and the progeny is the ones that are newly reproducing. So the parents and progeny have the same species, they belong to the same species, right? So this is not possible that the living organisms are actually going to reproduce some different kind, some different species, right? So yes, living organisms reproduce their own kind always, and obviously reproduction is not a characteristic feature of non-living organisms. So this is a characteristic feature for only the living organisms. Also, when we're talking about reproduction, when we're talking about reproduction in animals and plants, animals reproduce in two ways. Either they are laying eggs and those eggs will hatch eventually, or they are going to give birth to the babies, right? On the other hand, plants actually reproduce in different ways. That may be that the plant is either, so firstly, animals either through egg or baby directly, right? On the other hand, plants, when you're talking about plants, they may reproduce through seeds, from seed germination, or they may reproduce through different parts, different plant parts, right? So plants also have the ability to reproduce by different parts. For example, you can grow a rose from a stem of the rose only, right? So in this way, reproduction is only a characteristic feature of plants and animals. Those are the living organisms. All organisms move. Now you see, animals have the ability to move from one place to the other. On the other hand, plants are actually encouraged at one place. They are fixed at one place. They have roots in one place, right? So animals do not move. On the other hand, buses can move, automobiles can move, different bikes, we have different modes of transportation. All of those modes are actually required to move, right? So they are non-living objects, but they have the ability to move. On the other hand, animals have the ability to move, but plants do not have the ability to move. So so all organisms move is not a correct statement. All living organisms move is again not a correct statement. So movement is not a characteristic feature for the living organisms. Non-living objects also have the ability to move. They are man-made. On the other hand, living objects like plants do not have the ability to move. With this, we have completed our chapter number 9. So you can, if you have not watched the other videos, you can go into the description section and watch the previous videos and subscribe for more.